What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We have a ton of huge news to talk about in today's video. Everyone's favorite brokerage, Robinhood, is actually being fined $70 million. We have a lot of information with that. Also, CCIV stock is exploding today with an awesome close, and the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ broke record highs again today. Overall, we have a ton of great plays and a ton of great news to cover in today's episode, so make sure you stick around to the end, and don't forget to join the StockedUp Discord. There will be a link for that in the comments down below. It is completely free, and you can network with around 13,000 other traders, so definitely check it out. But Tom, let's get right into today's episode.
Yeah, for sure. And the first thing I'm going to cover is CCIV, and they are on fire today, up 9.5% at close, and they continued to run all day long and really broke that $28 resistance that they were posing over the past couple of days. Also broke $27.50 this morning, but ever since open, they pretty much had a straight up move. Initially, it was pretty volatile for the first few minutes, but then we just started going straight up, consolidating right around that 27.50 area, finally breaking it and just running up at the end of the day. And Lucid Motors will trade publicly soon following a SPAC deal with Churchill, which is CCIV, of course. And a shareholder meeting is actually coming up and has been set for July 22nd to vote on the transaction. And I'm not sure if the run is happening from the momentum with the vote coming up or not, but the stock is hot either way, and it's trending all over the board. We're seeing it pop up on a lot of watch lists and stuff like that, and it's honestly starting to look pretty good, especially on the daily chart. Looks like we're starting to really break out, like I said, above that 28 resistance.
Good stuff. So it's definitely popping up. It has a lot of momentum, and this stock has that explosive power as we saw in the past. Like when you look at a CCIV chart, one, it's in a great sector, but two, like I said, it has that explosive power. Back in the beginning of the year, this thing ran from like $10 or so all the way up to 65, you can say, and it's starting to pop back up again. And I saw a lot of unusual options activity and a lot of bullish momentum going into this stock, so definitely keep it on your radar. But Tom, tell us more about what's going on with this Robinhood fee.
Yeah, Robinhood is to pay $70 million for outages and misleading customers during the largest FINRA penalty ever. So this is going to be the largest FINRA penalty that we've ever seen. And keep in mind that this is coming back whenever the market had those a few really bad red days, I believe, during COVID. And whenever we see volume come in to Robinhood servers or volume come into the market, especially bearish momentum like we saw during these outages, brokerages and specifically Robinhood, they all like lag behind and end up shutting down. People can't close positions. And whenever the market's falling and you can't close positions, it's a pretty bad thing. I mean, that's costing people thousands and if not millions of dollars in some cases. But FINRA, a self-regulatory organization that oversees brokerage firms and their registered representatives, said that it fined Robinhood $57 million and ordered the stock trading app to pay nearly $13 million in restitutions to thousands of different clients. So that's going to show that they are paying back some money to the clients, but most of the money is just straight up the fine, which is the $57 million portion out of that $70 million. But Robinhood is expected to go public sometime this year, and they suffered all those outages, like I said, in the early in March of 2020, I should say, back there around like February, March, and April when the market was really falling down. And overall, it made Robinhood look pretty bad during those times. But honestly, Robinhood neither admitted or denied the charges, CNBC reports. So sounds like Robinhood is just paying their fine and just going on their merry way. And honestly, I'm sure $70 million is nothing for them.
I was just going to say that, like, their company is valued at multiple of billions of dollars, right? So they're a huge company. And in the grand scheme of things, $70 million isn't that much. Like, I know it's kind of crazy to hear that, but they're just a giant company, and they kind of deserved it, to be honest. Like, I remember, like, the market would be absolutely tanking, and people have, whether it's shares they want to sell, it's calls they want to cut, whether it's puts they want to take profits on, and the Robinhood app is down, and it would be down for hours and hours and hours. And honestly, it screwed a lot of people over. So I'm glad to see the fine, and it's just very interesting. I just think it's like a very interesting catalyst, and I think a lot of people will like to hear it because it is total BS how, the broker can just go down for hours and hours when the market is just going crazy.
Yeah, it really is, and it's a pretty bad thing to see happen a lot, actually. And what, like whenever that stuff happens, like I said, it's really frustrating. And imagine like some of these people who are putting, maybe like their savings or something in here, and then the market's going down 50%, and they're not even allowed to, cut their losses at all. And in a lot of cases, then Robinhood wouldn't even answer them for like extended period of time, and it was just very, very bad in the end. But one thing to keep in mind is that Robinhood and a few of these brokerages, they are trying to like cut costs and stuff as much as possible, but obviously they make a ton of money. They're a pretty good company, and I would think that they could obviously fix their servers and obviously, be a lot better. But I really hope that they can fix this going forward, because a lot of people are upset with this. And let me know in the comments down below any of the bad experiences that you've had with Robinhood. I know personally, before any of this stuff even happened, I quit using them because there was just so many instances where I was trying to get out of different options and stuff like that at different times, and it might delay like 5 or 10 minutes and get me out at a terrible price and stuff like that. And if not even, then my limits wouldn't go in, and then I'd have to limit it, and obviously limit it for a bigger loss, and then wait even 5 more minutes. So that's why I quit using them. But definitely let me know down below.
And then also let us know, like, do you think the $70 million fine is enough? Do you think it's justified? Do you think they shouldn't have to pay a fine at all? Let us know in the comments down below. I'm very curious to hear that. But then, Tom, tell us what's going on with Ford. I heard that they have some pretty interesting news coming out.
Yeah, they talked about this a few months ago, and they talked about having to maybe slash some vehicle production. And it says that CNBC reports that they are in fact doing that. So in July, they're going to slash production at several different plants, and they're significantly cutting their North American vehicle production in July. And this is due to the ongoing semiconductor shortage that's been going on. And they have a new Ford Bronco SUV, and then they also have the Ford Ranger pickup, which is fairly new. And they're going to be down for the next 2 weeks due to an unrelated part shortage. We can see Ford on the chart has done very well the past year, kind of looking honestly really overextended up here at the top. Looks like it posted a lower high, and this news is going to be pretty bad, I think, in the shorter term. I'm still bullish on Ford and a lot of these other companies for the longer run, but in the short term, I have a bad feeling that these production cuts and all these shortages with the semiconductors are going to really hurt them in the short term. But hopefully in the longer run, they start popping again off of this EV news.
Sounds good. Well, let's get right into our member of the day and then the momentum plays. Today's member of the day is Deez Stonks. So huge shout out, Deez. Thanks for being a great member of the Discord and, just posting great comments in the Discord, and thanks for being active. Tom and I appreciate it. But now let's get right into our momentum plays for tomorrow. And Tom, you already know the first one, CCIV.
Yeah, CCIV coming up to right around $29 in after hours. So watch for it to pass above 29 tomorrow.
All right, and then the next one we have AMD that's getting pretty close to its all-time high.
Man, they're just not stopping to the upside, but make them break above 94.40.
All right, and then with the last one we have VIAC.
Yep, another one continuing to go up today. Make them break out above 45, let's say 45.35.
Sounds good. So we are watching these three plays for potential day trades tomorrow, only if they break above the level Tom listed. But now let's get right into the $7.6 million options trade for this Friday. We are looking at the AMD 95 strike calls, like I said, for this Friday. I think that these are covered calls, Tom. AMD has a ton of momentum, which is awesome. Tech stocks are exploding, which is great for this play, but it only has like 2 trading days left in the play, and that's just not the best sign for me. So for that reason, I'm going to say that they're shorting these calls as like a covered call or something like that.
Yeah, I could definitely see that as well. There's a pretty big resistance actually on AMD right around that $95 area. It's definitely hit off of right around 95 to 96 quite a few times. So I could see that being a covered call also. Plus AMD has almost went straight up the past week. I mean, this has been a great move, almost from 85 straight up to 95 now. And like I said, that resistance is coming up. So I could see them shorting this play also, but there is a lot of momentum out of AMD and some of these tech stocks. So I don't know. I think it could be either way, to be honest. But if I was going to be a betting man, I would say that they were shorting that call.
All right, well, let's get right into our questions from the previous episode. And with the first comment, we have Sean C saying, I just crossed 3 months of paychecks in my first month in stat modeling. It's awesome, and I stand by the best community on the entire internet, on the internet. Very sincere. Thanks for everything, Mike and Tom. Let's go. Well, thank you so much for that comment, Sean. We really appreciate it. We're always looking to improve, add new bots, update the current bots. We're always, always updating and always improving. So thank you so much for that comment. Of course, not every single play wins, but we have been pretty hot lately. Zoom has been just an amazing play. We bought the Zoom calls like middle of May, you can say, for around $3,100, and now they're over $10,000 each. If you want to trade with Tom and myself every single day, plus get access to the bots, you can click the first link in the description down below, and you'll save about $40 doing that. The coupon is expiring this week, so definitely check it out. And then with the next comment, we have, let's see, Beast Mode saying, thoughts on Amazon breaking all-time highs before the end of July. So looking at Amazon, and just tech stocks in general, they're definitely trending up, and it has a lot of momentum. And I can see it breaking its all-time high, but I wouldn't necessarily put my money on it. I think there are better setups in the market right now. I really like Disney. I like stocks like Baba, PDD, and Zoom. So I don't think the setup's bad. It's just I feel like there are better setups in the market right now.
Yeah, me too. There's always going to be, these pretty decent stocks like Zoom, Palantir, and those that could have like very significant growth to them. So that's my main reasoning too, is just that there's going to be other setups that are better than Amazon right now. Everyone's been kind of like waiting for Amazon to split. And I honestly am thinking that they will eventually do that, but who knows? It's been a pretty good strategy for them so far, staying high. But I will say they're right on a trend line that's been looking pretty good on the daily chart. And if they start to fall below that, I'll start to get pretty worried. And they are kind of like triple topping here. So I think that we're going to either like over the next couple of weeks, we're either going to see a significant breakout, maybe up to like 3,600 or higher, or we're going to start to see a significant move to the downside. But I think that we're going to see a big move either way. And with Jeff Bezos stepping down soon, I would not be surprised if it ended up falling a little bit.
Honestly, I'm not too worried about that. I feel like that's already priced in. I think when they split, I think that'll be huge news for them, though. Like, think about what happened with Apple, Tesla, and even now Nvidia. Like, I was really watching Nvidia, and it has just been exploding over the past month. It went from like 550 all the way up to over 800 on this split news, and I can only imagine what's going to happen when Amazon announces their split.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly wondering why they haven't. And I know, I've heard people talk about like a couple of years ago, they were talking about some certain strategies that like Amazon did on purpose, to just obviously like for some reason, they're avoiding it for some reason. And yeah. I don't know what that reason is, but I'd be curious to know, to be honest. So if anybody out there knows the reason, definitely let me know in the comments down below.
Sounds good. And then we have Spacely saying, this CLOV call might be the one for me this week. Thanks. So, yeah, I know that there was some smart money going into the CLOV calls yesterday, but it looks like CLOV had a bad day today. It's down slightly. I believe it was the 14 calls for this week. It looks like they're shorting them right now, and CLOV is just kind of like lingering around. Like, I'm not necessarily bearish on it, but at the same time, I'm not super bullish. It's just kind of like lingering around, but it is holding its levels, which is a good sign.
Yeah, I'm glad it's holding that like 13 support that I have in the short term. I'm glad it's up above that. It is moving below some key SMAs that I like to watch, and it hit off of it twice the past 2 days and just failed to break above the 1,000 on the 15-minute, which is generally a bad sign, but who knows? We could still break that and go up tomorrow. I think it still has a shot to go up, but looking at the daily, I mean, today, that red candle could just be a little consolidation day. I like how it had that big green candle yesterday. It showed some strength, and I'm kind of hoping for another pop-up tomorrow, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but definitely put it on your radar because I think that there's a chance for it.
Alrighty, then we have Johnny B saying, thanks for the shout out. Great work, Workhorse to the moon. So Workhorse fell a little bit today. It is making higher lows though. The big resistance I'm watching is at $18 level. So I think it looks okay. Again, it's not my favorite setup right now, but it has potential. I know the short float is relatively high.
Yeah, it looks similar to the last stock, and yeah, like you said, it did kind of pull back today. The daily chart was starting to look really good out of Workhorse, but we're just kind of failing to break out of that $18 resistance, and it's just a bad sign that we can't break it. But over the next like few days, I think that we might start to see some movement back to the upside. I like how at the end of the day we held that 1640 level and kind of popped up, but anything can still happen tomorrow. But it kind of looks like it's going to be turning back to the upside.
All right, with the next comment, we have Phoenix saying, super. As always, great on point info. You guys are on it. I was surprised Boeing didn't fly with the news this morning. So much business coming from the order deals. What are your thoughts for the coming weeks on it? Also, LMT for its earnings coming mid July or so. Thank you. So we'll cover Boeing first. Boeing has had some pretty good news. In general, just Dow stocks are they're not doing bad. It's just money is flowing into tech stocks, and over the past couple weeks, we've just been seeing a rotation out of value stocks and into tech stocks, like we can clearly see with like Apple and Zoom and a lot of other companies. So I like Boeing, but it has to be like for a couple month hold, and shares would probably be the way to go. At the same time, I wouldn't bet against it. It's just money's flowing into tech stocks, and that's like where I'm focusing right now.
Yeah, and one other thing is that like whenever you're looking at stuff like Boeing, which is considered like a value stock, like Mike said, keep in mind that these stocks they go up and down a lot differently than the growth stocks do. Like even whenever Boeing goes up, yeah, sure, it does have like a few good days where it ends up flying up, but it doesn't move up the way that like Palantir moves up or Zoom moves up. It has a lot more consolidation in between those like ranges, and it just doesn't have that type of parabolic movement to it. I'm not saying it's not volatile and it doesn't move a lot or anything, but it definitely like consolidates, a lot more than some of these other stocks do.
Yeah, that's a great point right there. And then he was also asking about LMT, so Lockheed Martin. I saw some good news with them too. I never play earnings; they're a complete gamble, so I'm just neutral on them. And at the same time, they don't look bad. It's just I feel like there's better setups in the market right now, like mainly tech stocks.
Yeah, and honestly, I love Lockheed Martin for the long term, but I'm with Mike right now. In the shorter term, I think money might be flowing out of this. Lockheed Martin had a great recovery from the 340 support all the way back up to almost the $400 level. We got pretty close on it, and it that was a pretty solid resistance up there. And I think a lot of people who were holding Lockheed Martin, they were probably targeting that type of level, at least on this first big move to the upside. I'm glad to see it consolidating. And if it starts to fall back down to maybe like the 360 support, or maybe even like maybe down towards like 365, I might start to look at like maybe grabbing more shares or maybe selling some puts on it, maybe down towards like the 340 or like 350 level, something like that. But personally, I'm kind of with Mike. I think it could start to pull back, but I love the company for the long term. I think that over the next few years, they'll do really good.
Sounds good. Well, just a reminder, guys, if you want to trade with Tom and I every single day, plus get access to our bots, click the first link in the description down below. The coupon is expiring this week. Definitely check it out, and you'll save about $40 using the coupon. But Tom, do you have any last minute stocks or anything you're watching for the rest of the week?
Man, I'm still watching all these indices. They're just failing to break out and have solid breakouts. The SPY is honestly looking pretty good at the end of day today. Broke its all-time high. Looks like it's going to have a little bit of a push maybe to the upside here in after hours. Definitely looking for a key breakout with that. Kind of like we've been seeing with the QQQ while it was going up. It had those really nice moves to the upside. So hopefully we can see that with SPY. Also trying to see if Palantir can turn itself back around. Had a bad past couple days. These growth stocks have kind of been falling off the past couple days, kind of consolidating a little bit, moving back down to supports and whatnot. So definitely looking for them to kind of recover back up. And then definitely watching NIO. That stock has been on fire, up another 5.6% today, a huge move. And I would think it might be able to come up and maybe hit like that $57 resistance level up here. It might get close. We're getting pretty close to like a 54 resistance right now. So hopefully it can keep going though. It's had some pretty parabolic movement.
Sounds good. Well, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Comments really help us out. So if you learned something or have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We post brand new videos every single day. And then come join Tom and I live every single morning at open on the new StockedUp live channel. The link for that is in the description down below. But other than that, thanks for watching.